Superman's pal Jimmy Olsen, issue 12, sees the Daily Planet getting shut down, with Perry telling the gathered reporters it wasn't the declining subscriptions or that the internet that did it. It was the publisher being outed as the biggest metacriminal mastermind in the city. Perry says that he would run the story again in a heartbeat since exposing Leon was their job, but doing so ruptured their credibility and the board agreed to shut them down. As Perry says tomorrow's edition of the Planet will be the final ever, Jimmy arrives, apologizing for being late and wondering what he missed. Elsewhere, Detective Corrigan knows that this is how they win and how the rich convince them nickel and dime stuff doesn't matter. Porcadillo doesn't understand what the man is monologuing about as he loads his gun, telling Paul that he will ID Julian by his voice as the man who hired them to assassinate Jimmy Olsen. James goes and bangs on the Olsen's door, but no one is home, so kicking in the door, James finds the house has been completely emptied, with only 2 envelopes marked with a J on them. Suddenly, Janie and Jimmy arrive, demanding to know why these men are in their home. Jimmy reunites with Porcadillo as Janie learns who the detective is, finding he, like them, are looking for Julian. Jimmy gets the envelopes, opening them, and with his sister, they both come to the conclusion that Julian is going to the airport. Racing to the airport, Dr. Mantell again says the Olsen meter is picking up someone in Metropolis, so Julian should be there, not going to the airport. Jimmy says he'll handle one thing at a time as the group arrive at the airport, finding Julian boarding his private jet. Julian rushes inside, telling his pilot to take off now, but they can't since Jimmy and the others are blocking him with their spaceship. Jimmy says Julian can't buy his way out of this one, but Julian angrily says that Jimmy doesn't let him do anything. He lets Jimmy do everything since he's Mr. Metropolis, and he's done so much to protect the city and spend all of their money to protect it. Julian calls his siblings ignorant for not knowing what to do with their money, knowing Jenny would have used it all on her stupid plays and Jimmy didn't even know he had money to steal. Corrigan says that Julian didn't steal the money, he hired someone to kill Jimmy so it would return to him when Jimmy died, and then he tried to cover his tracks. Julian pulls a gun, knowing he should have killed his brother himself. He calls himself the glue who holds the city together as he gets ready to shoot his brother, but Porcadillo throws one of his crocs at the man, distracting him long enough to tackle the man through the side of the plane, knocking him out cold and allowing Detective Corrigan to read him his rights. Later, the final edition of the Daily Planet publishes a front page story on Julian's arrest and the conspiracy to kill Jimmy, as Jimmy tells Ed Lynch he wishes he could sell enough papers to keep the planet afloat, and that Julian didn't bankrupt his family. Lynch looks over the documents, finding Julian sold everything he could, but it will all be seized, along with Janie's third of the trust, which immediately went out the window, meaning the Olsen family trust is no more. Janie knows that's so hard to believe since their great-great-grandfather found gold in the river and it made the fortune for the family, and they were raised to think that that fortune was infinite. However, Jimmy knows infinity isn't really infinite since he's seen it, and they realize they now need to get jobs. Jimmy is fine with that, but Janie is angered since her only job is theatre and she can't do that now, soon resigning herself to writing a resume. Soon Eve Tessmacher comes by, delivering Jimmy a box that was found in one of the cornerstones of the Monarch of Metropolis when it was destroyed, and when she gave it to Lex, he was rather nonplussed by it, so maybe Olsen might find it more interesting. Opening the box, Eve reveals that the box documents an illicit affair between an Olsen and a Luthor in the early 19th century, which led to a secret heir, Lex Luthor. Jimmy realizes that Lex used to have red hair, and Eve knows it was a recessive gene left behind to link the families. Jenny realizes that it was also the Phantom Olsen seen on Dr. Mantell's tracker in Metropolis, but Jimmy doesn't trust this, wondering why Eve would ever do this. Miss Tessmacher says that without a worthy competitor, Luthor's mind gets restless, and while Superman occupies his focus on a planetary scale, locally Lex has long benefited from sparring with an Olsen, but with Julian in prison, that leaves only Jimmy. She reveals that battling Lex requires money, and while the Olsen Trust is gone, seeing as Jimmy is a blood relative of Luthor, he has access to the Luthor Trust, as well as how Lex spends the money, which is exactly the kind of complication and surprise Lex needs from a worthy competitor. Eve leaves the Olsens completely surprised, as later, Jimmy goes to see Lex, bringing the box with him. Jimmy tells Lex that he's come with money-related issues, saying that Lex will bankroll Janie's plays from now on and also fund the Daily Planet forever. Lex laughs at the demands, seeing how Olsen's internet skits could be so popular because he is so funny. Jimmy opens the box, saying that he's going to give the planet what he needs, and he has no editorial control over it, and is only going to be a silent benefactor. Lex says that the paper is shutting down, and why would he want to buy a rag like the Daily Planet? Producing a picture of their shared family, Jimmy says the Daily Planet needs help, and when family needs help, he helps. Lex angrily demands to know how he got this information, but Jimmy says that the bylaws in the Luthor family trust state that all living relatives, including him now, must vote on how the money is distributed. So Jimmy is going to freeze all of Lex's transactions and audit him. Or Lex can cover Janie and the planet, and in his return, Jimmy will stay quiet about his claim to the Luthor money. With no other choice, Lex agrees, so Jimmy takes his leave, saying goodbye to his uncle Lex. Enraged, Lex proclaims that it was all his doing, from ordering Olsen to be killed to the destruction of the statue, and he was behind every little thing that happened in Olsen's life recently. Jimmy is fine with that, asking if he can quote Lex on that as his recording orb reveals itself, having been recording the whole time. Later, Jimmy reports the story to Perry, as the man is welcomed to the paper as its publisher. Perry tells Jimmy that on his first day as publisher, he's managed to produce some fantastic content, calling the man Chief for a change. Afterwards, Jimmy meets with Superman on the roof, wondering if he's got to call him Clark now. Clark knows who the man is talking to, gifting his pal a new signal watch. Clark says that he knows Jimmy can look after himself since he's never found himself in too much trouble he can't manage, but he needs to know that if he ever needed him, he can call Superman for help. Jimmy knows he can, and he knows Superman would come, since after all, that's what friends are for. Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen issue 12 ended one of my favorite DC books in the last few years by bringing it full circle and linking it up with all of the stuff that Brian Michael Bendis is doing with the Superman family and the Daily Planet, further cementing Jimmy as a character who can not only take care of himself, but also as a character who is just as important as the heroes that take center stage in books like Action Comics and Superman. The big revelation that Jimmy and Lex are related was expertly handled and very fun, and something that I really hope sticks around after this book and after Brian Bendis eventually moves on from this stable of characters. Jimmy becoming an owner of the Daily Planet is also really quite awesome, and I'm looking forward to more of his hijinks hopefully somewhere down the line. I'm going to give this issue a 10 out of 10.